If you break down the Mass Effect trilogy, it's a totally ambitious endeavor for video games. BioWare was bold enough and had the foresight to create a sci-fi space opera that had the strengths and depth to span an entire console generation. And nearly 5 years after the first game debuted on the Xbox 360, we've reached the end of the journey with Mass Effect 3. It's not easy to summarize the plot of 2 games in a few sentences, but here goes nothing. You're in the shoes of Commander Shepard, an intergalactic super cop who's gone from trailblazer to rogue agent across 2 grand-scale stories. At the root of it all, Shepard is fighting against the clock to unite all species against the Reapers, an ancient robotic race that's coming back to wipe out every organic life form in the galaxy, just as it did 50,000 years prior.
It's the Reapers, and we're not ready for them.
In Mass Effect 3, all of Shepard's efforts come to a head as the final battle starts on Earth. None of this is as simple as it seems, of course. Mass Effect has forced you to play mediator between intergalactic species and their millennia-old feuds.
Does Solarian hospitality always come with sharpshooters? This is an insult to the Alliance.
It's not easy to convince a member of one race to play nice with other races when ethnic cleansing is involved, and the consequences of Shepard's words and deeds echo throughout the game.
But I warn you, Commander. The consequences of this will be
nothing compared to what happens if the Reapers win.
With those elements instilled, Mass Effect 3 is an intense journey that boosts the tension at the drop of a hat. Without warning, a normal objective can escalate into an explosive set piece that would mark the climax of a lesser game. That's also because your decisions during these missions have a direct effect on the fate of the galaxy. No pressure, right? And whether you're starting with Mass Effect 3 or if you've imported a cleared game for Mass Effect 2, you'll quickly face some very difficult decisions that will seal the fate of entire alien races across the galaxy.
Damn it, Shepard! Don't do this!
I'm sorry.
Be warned, however, that if you're jumping into Mass Effect for the first time with this game, you'll be spending a lot of your time reading journals and getting backstory that you'd be better off learning from playing the last 2 Mass Effects instead. As for the combat, it's still an action RPG with strong squad shooter elements. Enhancements were made to the melee and weapon customization, but otherwise very little has changed. You'll have to use your squad mates' abilities to make tactical decisions to take down the numerous foes BioWare throws at you. Mass Effect 3 takes advantage of the stellar gunplay of Mass Effect 2 to throw Shepard into firefights that rival the likes of Uncharted and Gears of War. Mass Effect 3's multiplayer contributes to Shepard's overall galactic readiness to take on the Reapers. It's not going to replace your nightly Call of Duty fragfests, but it's good co-op that ties into the core game wonderfully. Plus, its intense and deadly set pieces evoke the sort of great co-op you normally find in games like Left 4 Dead and Gears of War. And thankfully, it's an organic fit that complements the single player instead of taking away from it. And if we haven't already said it enough, Shepard's decisions weigh heaviest in this game. BioWare really drives that home.
Shepard, thank the goddess you're alive.
Game dialogue will passively mention events derived from decisions made in the first 2 games.
I was worried when the reports came in. They hit Earth hard.
Yeah, it was difficult to leave.
And you'll constantly be reminded of the characters who didn't survive the climax of Mass Effect 2. There's even a memorial on the Normandy with your fallen crew members' names inscribed, based on what you've done in the past games. It's a real testament to the longevity of the story and how personalized BioWare was able to make it feel.
Boldly they rode and well, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell.
Yet, in the end, Mass Effect 3's finale doesn't quite have the gravity and impact of its predecessor. Mass Effect 2's conclusion, from the extent that Shepard fought to secure the loyalty of the individual crew members to the sacrifices made, had a payoff that rivals some of the greatest games ever made. It's a tough act to follow, and while Mass Effect 3's ending is fantastic, it doesn't quite feel like our decisions played into the finale nearly as much as we expected, especially based on the build-up from the rest of the series. Mass Effect 3 is an outstanding reward for your investment in its stratospheric storytelling. With this finale, BioWare has truly achieved a monumental benchmark for narrative in games. This is a trip across the galaxy that's absolutely worth taking.